to cuss in the first 5 minutes, but I shoot from the hip, so whatever happens, happens.
You're good, man. You're good. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah. How's the injury? How are you healing up?
Hand up good, man. Hopefully you
Yeah.
get back. I'm hoping to fight at the end of May, beginning of June. I want to get at least. I would like to get 3 fights this year, but it's more looking like 2. But you know what I mean, just depending on the timeline, injuries and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Kind of.
Yeah. Is that always your goal? Like 3 fights a year? Is that like the in your head, like, or is it 3 fights or more, or just whatever may
I like to
happen?
fight. I like to fight often. When I first started fighting, I think in 9 months I fought 7 times in 9 months. You know. Um.
Did
So I like to stay active, many fights as possible.
and did you start as an amateur as well? Did you
So I
start
did
with
three.
559?
No, so what happened? This is before 509 was like created. So we started. So I was in college. I was wrestling, and I would fight on the weekend. So in California wrestling,
Mhm.
it's only like 1 day tournament. So I'd fight on a Saturday, and then I would fight on Sundays. So I'd wrestle, make weight for wrestling tournaments, and then have to cut weight again because amateur in California is same day weigh-in. Then I would fight again on Sunday, go back to wrestling practice on Monday. Did that for a while. I did 3 amateur fights and then turned pro in 2011.
And then when did you start wrestling?
Started wrestling like 5th grade. So my older brother Julian, he moved out to he was in California living with my grandma for a long time, and his friend got him into wrestling when he was in 8th grade, and then my mom seeing what it could do. Like they talked about college and stuff like that. So my older brother kind of got me and my little brother into wrestling. When I first started wrestling, I thought it was like WWE. You know, I was looking for a
Mhm.
table, a chair, and I went to his wrestling room and stuff, and it was completely different, but definitely fell in love with it. I think after our first week or 2 of practice, we went to a tournament. Me and my brother did pretty good, and then and yeah, we kind of kept with it. My mom put us in wrestling. We were wrestling every weekend, tournaments nonstop, up and down California, freestyle, Greco tournaments during the off season, folk style during the regular season. Probably get like 100 matches a year, wrestling camps, you name it. So we started wrestling young, and we kind of got pushed into it. My older brother was set the bar. He was pretty good his first year, and yeah, kind of set the tempo, set the bar for the rest of us.
So when you did you fight as a kid, or were you more laid back? Like how were you
Nah, I
growing
was a
up as a
hothead for
kid?
sure, super
Yeah.
hothead. I tell people always ask me that, like, oh, like you seem pretty mellow, like I was like, yeah, now I am, but when I was younger, super
This
hothead.
is years of work right here. This is years of hard
Yeah,
work.
yeah, getting everything down. But no, I was a super hothead when I was younger, getting into fights. Super, for sure, I
Yeah.
had anger problems when I was younger, get mad about like the dumbest shit, looking back. But now,
It's all
um,
about respect as a kid. You know it is. Like, you know it is.
yeah, living out here in the 559 is a little bit different. People think, because when I fight or whatever, they say Timo Yama. That's out in Orange County.
Mm,
People think, oh, like he's a like a spoiled like kid. I was like, man, I'm from Lemoore, like Central Valley. It's not the same. There's no beaches, no nothing around us. Like desert.
nah. I always
Dairy town.
yeah, I always tell people it's so bad here, white people gangbang.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. People don't get that. So people think I'm from
Yeah.
Orange County, but yeah. So started wrestling then. Being out here definitely molded me as a person for sure.
Yeah, no, so I grew up like my specific section of where I grew up, it was like pure Mexican. Like you could even see my yearbook. It's just Mexican, 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 me. Mexican, 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 you know what I'm saying? So it was very boxing related, like very heavy boxing culture. And everybody's like, "Oh, you have little man syndrome?" I'm like, "Bro, I grew up with Mexicans. We were all small. Like we're all the same
Yeah.
size." I was like, I have a thing called white boy syndrome where I had to do extra just because I was white. I had to get that respect. Like, leave me alone. But and I'm always curious about that because like what I realized, like training and just throughout the years, there's a lot of like just regular people who like to fight. Like they don't have no crazy story, they don't have no like background fighting. They just like to fight. They like to compete. So I'm always curious to see like if people were fighting growing up or not.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up. So I grew up like growing up. I got into a lot of fights. I think my 8th grade year, some stuff had happened, and I was at the fight. Thought I killed a kid when I
Mm.
when I when I was fighting, and then probably after that, like I stopped really fighting. But I was wrestling a lot. That kind of kept me off, kept me on like on the right path, and then um, fighting just kind of fell into my lap. Jeremy Luchow, I've known him since I was 14. I started coaching his son. Started coaching his son, and started coaching his son and stuff. And he's like, hey, you know, what do you think about the fighting stuff? Because I was helping Team Ochoa. I was helping some of the guys there at Team Ochoa, and and kind of like, oh yeah, I want to dabble in this. You know, I kind of just took a risk. I didn't get no college offers when I was coming out of high school. I didn't place at the state tournament, so I was like, ah, screw it. And then Jeremy's like, well, if you go to college and you pass your classes, I'll get you some fights. You know, as an amateur and stuff like that. And then that's when he introduced me to my manager, Jason House, and stuff like that. The guy that manages me now. Obviously, Jeremy's with them now, but did that. I was fighting, and I kind of like, screw it, man. I'm gonna roll the dice, and like, thank God it's worked out for me for sure.
When did you like? So 2 questions. When did you know, like, oh, I want to be an MMA fighter, and then when did you realize, like, oh, I can make it as an MMA fighter? Like, this is like, oh, I could do this. I could be a champion.
I tell people all the time. The only reason I started fighting is I just don't want to be that person that was 32, 33 years old, being like, oh man, I could have beat that guy's ass, or I could have done that. So I started as just like I'm gonna try it a couple times and go from there. And then you know, went 3-0 as an amateur, and then I turned pro 2011. You know, with Jason House, like managed me, and Jeremy Luchow and all those guys. Iridium, they've had my back since the beginning. I got signed as an amateur basically, and you know, had the right pathway through things. If you look at my records, some of the guys I fought probably didn't have the best records, but they had more experience.
Mm,
For me, I never thought about like the money part. It was like the win was more important. So like, probably, I think I was 7-2 as a pro. I was training here at Team Ochoa with Mito Morales, and man, it was just me and him training. Like a lot of the guys had jobs and stuff like that, and you know, and he's like, I was like, hey man, I want to try to make a move. I want to make this a career. Probably in 2013, 14, around there. And you know, Coach Mito gave me the blessing to move.
mm. So I think I lost you.
All right,
I think we're
sorry.
back. No,
Oh
you're
yeah.
good. You're good. You're
So they
good.
gave me the okay to go like to Team Ochoa and stuff like that. And once I got out there, it was a whole different game. Like we had some of the best training partners in the world, like Ian McCall, Carlos Barza, Josh Sampa,
Mm, yeah.
all the guys, and I was hanging with them. So I think around that time I was like, oh man, I could probably make this into a career. You know, instead of just a hobby. And from there, I kind of just took on. I gambled on myself. Literally, I think I had lost 2 back to back. So I was 2-0, 3-0, something like that. I lost 2 in a row. Then I was kind of like, I think I'm done. I was like, you know what? I can't go on a loss. So I ended up won like 10 in a row, won the Tachi
Mm,
title. And then at that time, between that time, I was going to Team Oyama, but I was working at a freight company out in Fresno. And I would just save my money to go live over there at the gym. I'll live there, stay there for a couple months, go for training camps, stuff like that. And I was like,
yeah.
man, I really want to do this. I got to make a move down here full time. And in 2013, I had just lost to I lost to Adam Antolin, and he gets on the Ultimate Fighter. Then I get a fight against Jared Papazian, a UFC vet. I end up losing, and I
So
was like,
you
you know,
were a youngster, and like, when the flyweight started making their name. So like when you mentioned, that was back when Ian McCall was ranked #1 type of
yeah,
stuff. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So got you.
So I started going out there full time, and then I was like, man, I need to move down there, like make this a career. So around that, I lost to Jared Papazian. I talked to Oyama. I was like, hey, I'm gonna stay like a week, work, and do this. He's like, nah, pack your shit and get your ass down here. This was on Thursday night, so he's like, I'll see you Monday at practice. So I kind of thought about it, debated, talked to my family about it, and I mean, they're all pretty supportive. Kind of like, oh yeah, do it. You know what I mean? And man, thank God it's worked out. You know, we moved down there and never looked back.
Yeah. So the first time I seen you fight, so so in the neighborhood I grew up, we grew up boxing, and one of the boxers was Edgar Diaz, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So and then we remember the fight, and then one thing about Edgar, he was scrappy, but like that guillotine was real. That I
yeah,
remember him coming to the gym like after 5 years of not like training, and he still had the guillotine. But one thing I noticed is on the rematch, like your IQ, because it's one thing preparing. Because like, I know from experience, like it's one thing preparing and doing everything, but once that ding ding ding, your brain turns off. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Yeah.
and but I remember like you were like, yeah, here, you want that choke? Here you go. And I remember, like, I got a really good memory. I remember specifically you going, taking the side control, and I think, was it a Kimura that you finished or
Yeah.
something like that? But to me, what stood out to me was the adjustment. And it was so just precise. And it's one of those things where you call the perfect play, and then the play actually like gets executed perfectly. And then, obviously you just kept going. And since then, what is, what was your favorite MMA moment?
Still to this day, obviously fighting for the UFC titles, obviously like up there. But for me, fighting in Fresno, I'm making my UFC debut in Fresno is probably
Mm.
good one, man. Like being 45
That
minutes
was
away
after
from home.
Contender, right?
Yeah, right after Contender, it was
Yeah.
my debut in December. I fought in Fresno. I mean, the 45 minutes away from Lemoore. You know what I mean? I remember walking out, couldn't hear no music, no nothing. Um, when they said my name, like whole thing went crazy. The whole arena went crazy. When I won, it went crazy. When I fought, the whole basically it was all empty. McMahon came up to me in the back. He's like, "Damn, we should put you higher on the card, man." Everybody left. I think I had like seven, like couple, like probably like 500-600 people there. You know,
Mm.
at the
You're
after
just
party,
all
people couldn't get in no more because it was like it was max capacity there. It was crazy, but that's part of my favorite moment.
mm.
Just because, man, I mean, people can only dream to fight there, like in their hometowns, and that's as close as I'm gonna get. So it's cool.
You ain't talking fast. You're just listening slow, my guy. Um, so my son wanted me to ask: is a Darce choke your favorite choke, or is it just there?
Darce or Anaconda, it don't matter. I honestly don't
What?
even know the difference. I just kind of go from for a headlock series,
Mm,
guillotine, Darce, Anaconda, kind of go from there on each side. It just all depends.
however it lands, basically.
Yeah, however it lands. So it's one of the ones, just kind of those things that we practice all the time.
Oh, sorry, sir. I didn't mean to disrespect you. But so you're one of the rare people who have actually finished people with leg kicks, right?
Yeah.
That's right. And my son, so out of everything I've tried to teach this kid, because like I said, I grew up boxing, so mainly my boxing is whatever that I could teach. He loves that calf kick, and it sucks so bad having to teach him, like having to be the guy being kicked, right? So, in a perfect world, what is your favorite? A submission, that perfect punch knockout, which you've also had, and then finishing someone with leg kicks, and not just someone, but like someone in the top 10. Like what would?
I don't know, man. Like when I
'Cause I
knocked
know it
Nick,
hurts the most.
so when I knocked Nick and Mateus out, Nicolau,
Mhm,
I didn't even like. I don't think I was throwing hard. I think just landed on the right spot. You know what I mean?
right.
When I leg kick someone, those hurt for sure because I mean I tell myself right before every fight, either I'm gonna break my leg or I'm gonna break my leg or they're breaking. I'm gonna break theirs, but something's gonna break. And when I step into those kicks, like I'm stepping in 100%. Like there's no holding back. Like I'm going. So
Which the average person don't know. I broke both my feet and stuff like that. So because I was kicking with the shin pads and then stopped kicking with them, and then I didn't really know how to kick because I was kicking with that. People don't understand, like, kicking someone hurts so bad. Like, even like, it hurts.
it hurts both. It hurts both. People
Yeah,
are like,
yeah,
"Oh,
yeah.
like man, it hurts. My shins get destroyed. My feet get destroyed from doing everything. And yeah, it's a while to recover for sure. It takes a few weeks to months to
Mhm,
recover. I've been calf kicked too, and I'm like, man, if you don't check them, that thing takes forever to recover. So definitely, like I said, it's all different. I don't know what kind of submissions are cool. I put people to
mhm.
sleep. I don't know. They're all different. I don't mind. I don't mind
He
anything that gets me out of there quick.
Yeah, he said, "I'll take them all. I'll take them
Yeah,
all."
yeah. I get paid. I get paid. I don't get paid by the minute. You know what I mean? I get paid
Yeah,
to fight. So if I can end it, might as well.
yeah, and I know those leg kicks, man, and I feel like I know his legs are messed up because the last kick you land is your foot slapping him.
Yeah, again
So, like
against her. What's crazy
mhm,
about that fight is that me and him are actually good friends. I've known him since I was an amateur. He was technically the number 1 ranked guy in the world at the time at 125s when I met him. And So I met him my second amateur fight, and then it's crazy that I think it was like 10 years in the making. We ended up fighting. You know, it was bittersweet, but I was like,
Mhm.
man, that time COVID was coming around, stuff like that. And it was like, I mean, screw it, I gotta take a fight to feed my family. I mean, it's only business. You know, winter buys dinner kind of thing. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that fight was a little interesting for sure.
Was it hard to prepare for it mentally?
Nah, I mean, I wrestled.
Nah.
I wrestled with some of my good friends. I remember us trying to suplex each other in real live matches. You know, if
Yeah,
I can
glorified
do,
sparring.
yeah, if I can do that to somebody that I'm that close with, imagine someone that we're good friends, but it's different.
Yeah. If you don't mind me asking, how does winning and losing affect your home life? And I mean, not as far as like being a dad or being a husband, but like mentally, like when is it like next fight moving forward? Because you're a veteran, or are some fights harder to get over than others?
I don't know because I'm a sore loser, so for sure. I used to give
I
myself
feel
like
like
a
all the
day.
best have to be right. Like if you like, I wasn't a sore loser, and that's why I wasn't shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Uh,
probably should have been.
for me, I don't know. I'm a sore loser for sure. I give myself like that night, to kind of really be a little girl about it. And then the next day it's kind of like it still bugs me, but it's like, ah, man, there's times where like there's fights that replay in my head over and over again, and I'll wake up in the middle of the night like, fuck, I should have done this, or like I should have, I remember that Davidson Figueroa fight. We practiced guillotine defense forever, and I got caught the guillotine. I would wake up in the middle of the night thinking like, fuck, I should have done this, I should have done this for a while. Um, it mentally does affect you, um, but I think for me, I just kind of learned how to deal with it. I know when I was younger, I had a hard time. When I used to wrestle, my mom whipped my ass one time because I threw my headgear halfway across the mat. So I had to learn real quick not to do that. Our coach would never let us like cube like, hey man, go get your stuff, go outside and cry for 10 minutes and get back in here. You still got to come back and wrestle. So kind of use that mindset.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
nothing I can do with it now. Kind of move on to the next one. But yeah, it's all different, man. I like people don't understand the work and time that you put into it. I mean, my training schedule's it's a full-time job plus dieting plus sacrificing time with your family and friends, stuff like that. Now that I have a son, spending time away from him during camps, so it makes everything a little bit harder
mhm,
now. um you know what I mean, like dealing with stuff like you kind of think to yourself, the last couple weeks kind of more isolation. I'm not really with my son as much during fight camp, so like it definitely a little bit harder. Like, man, I'm sacrificing all this, and I could still lose, And I've lost
mhm,
before. I've been away from him for weeks or months at a time. It's like, oh man, what am
right,
I doing
right.
this for? But then I realized, like, hey, all part of the plan. Um,
Yeah,
not gonna win
this is
everything, kind of thing. Got to keep your head straight on things.
this is why I'm doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Nah, nah, that's cool. Now I'm just very curious about that because I feel like everybody handles losses differently, and like especially at that level, you know what I'm saying? Like I think people, you know, especially people who are weekend warriors or people who fought a few times like me, like they try to one size fits all thing. It's like, oh, I'm not even nervous for the fights. It's because you're not in a fight big enough to be nervous about. Like,
man, it's crazy because I used to get nervous for wrestling matches. Like, I'm still get the same nerves from every fight. There's been times where I fought a couple times and I wasn't nervous. Like, so when I fought Carlos De Soto, the kid from Hanford, I wasn't nervous. I'm like, oh man, this guy ain't shit, and he wasn't. Like, he just kind of like he was a weird dude. So I was like, whatever, he ain't nothing. But when I fought Pantoja, I had that same feeling. Like, it was crazy. I was walking out. Usually, I get real nervous, real butterflies. I'm going. I'm trying to rush to the bathroom. You know what I mean? I'm like, this one nothing, no nerves, no nothing. I was like, man, I don't know if this is gonna be a good night or not, but I like that. I remember like the crowd, like hearing the crowd and walking out, and just like, oh man, I was not nervous at all. And usually that's not good. That's not a good sign. And yeah,
yeah,
it's just one of those. Like, I've even asked like T.J. Dillashaw, Cody, Garbrandt, all these guys, like, do you get nervous fighting? Like, you guys fought the biggest stage, fought for titles. So I was like, yeah, we get nervous. Like, how do you guys hide it? It's like, we don't even try to hide it. We just kind of embrace it. That's what I started doing a lot more.
yeah. Just from my small sample size, like I feel like so I won my first two fights and then I lost my next two. But I felt like it was all like fun to me at that point, and I didn't care enough. So then when I took the 2 or 3 years off to kind of round out the game a little bit more, I felt I took a boxing fight on 5 days' notice and fought an undefeated boxer in Minnesota, and that was the first time I was really nervous. And then I realized, like, oh, I care now. That's what it is. I care now. So I feel like, to what you're saying, I'm not saying you didn't care, but like I know what you. I kind of, from a small sample size, I feel like, oh, I'm not nervous. It's like, oh, that's kind of, that's kind of,
Yeah.
I don't think that's good, or whatever. Um, when when you did fight, when you got that call for that title fight, what's that feeling like?
It was crazy. I was sleeping. My manager calls me like 3 or 4 times because he was in Abu Dhabi. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? It's like 2 or 3 a.m. I'm like, why the fuck is he calling me? So I answer the phone. He's just like, bro. I'm like, what's up? He's like, ready for your title fight? I'm like, because I was supposed to fight Brandon Moreno on that card. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, man, Cody's out. You're gonna fight Davison Figueroa for the title. I'm like, oh shit, Ricky Simone was staying with me, and like I'm in the bathroom, whatever. I'm like, what? Like I was tripping, and then Ricky's like, you good? Because he heard me like getting up and moving around. I was like, yeah, I'm good. He's like, I was like, yeah, I just got the call. He's like, what call? He's like, I'm fighting for the title. He's like, wait, what? So I remember just laying back in bed thinking like, what, should I go run right now or something? Like it's like 3 a.m. Like I couldn't go back to sleep. I was like, oh
Got to get
shit.
that out. Got to get
Yeah, it was
that
just
get
one of
out.
those things like you don't expect it. Something you work for your whole life.
Mm,
A small percentage, like yeah, the fight didn't go my way, but um, so like the fight didn't go my way, but being able to be like on a poster, on a bulletin board, having ESPN commercials about me, having like the camera crew like come around me, right? Um, just things like that, like just things that you work for and like you think that you can never reach, and you finally get there. It's like, oh man, it's like a surreal moment. So for me, I was like, man, I'm just blessed and happy to be able to do that because yeah, like I'm from Lemoore. I mean,
right,
small
right.
town, like not
Mm,
too many people get to leave Lemoore, not too many people yet alone get to be on a national stage like that. So I was
right.
super I was super pumped and excited.
Yeah, and I feel like, other big cities and stuff like that, they have outlets. They do have the inner city, but they have outlets. Places in the 559, the 209, there's nothing. Like, there's nothing. Like, their achievements are fighting at the bar, or I went to prison for 10 years and I didn't tell on nobody. Like,
Yeah.
I think, that can't be underestimated or, understated. But I also, too, what I realized, too, is how big experience is. So, like, I feel like, from the outside looking in, you fought for the title, you lost the fight, but now you know what it's like being there. Now, and again, and it's not like, because you got some guys who fight for the title, and then like once they lose, you're like, they're probably not ever gonna get back to that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't look at you as one of those guys. That Nikolai fight was, obvious, a clear, sign of like who you are and stuff like that. So when, for example, I believe, was he number one contender when you fought him? Something along those
No,
lines.
he was
He
coming. He
was
was coming.
coming up, right?
So he was coming off of a loss. He was coming off a knockout loss to Brandon Royval, but the guys he had fought before, he was on like a 5 fight win streak, 6 fight win
Right.
streak before Brandon knocked him out, and he was supposed to fight Manel Cape, and then Manel ended up getting hurt, and I got the call probably like 2.5 week notice. I was like, screw it, man, let's take this fight. I've gambled on myself my whole career, and why stop now? So I was like, screw it, I'm down to take the fight, and got blessed with the I got blessed with the new contract. I got blessed with like being the main event, stuff like that, winning, getting that extra money, getting the bonus, stuff like that. It was like all came full circle.
Yeah, we all watched that at my sister's sweet 16 birthday party. We all left the room and went to the TV area when you fought. Um, and then now when you have a fight, like fights don't go your way, and a lot of things are out of your control. How was it like? For example, your last fight, being injured, and it was kind of a weird in like fall, like just freak accident. Like, is it one of those like, okay, I can't control that, or does it bother you more that it was an injury and not like a clear cut winner? If that makes sense.
um, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I'm a sore loser. But I also can't
Yeah,
take anything from him. Like he won. Like
yeah.
he was like, oh, he won because you're injured. Nah, he won because he won. You know what I mean? There's
He
no
caused the position,
yeah. There's
Yeah,
no excuse. Whatever it is, what it is. That stuff kind of bugs me because I feel like I'm better than the kid. You know what I mean? But I also feel I'm better than everybody I've lost to too. So, you know.
yeah.
But
I
yeah. I mean, it kind of gets me there, but just
yeah.
more. Drives me a little bit more.
And I
because I
know a
felt
lot
like
of.
I won the
Sorry.
first. I felt like I won the first round on that fight, and then the second round, obviously all that happened. But
Yeah.
it is what it is. Can't do much about it. Just kind of move forward.
And what you said too about you feel like you're better than people you lost to. I feel like it's been said a lot, but I feel like people don't really grasp. Like, for example, NFL or something, you make a bad play, you can just go back and do another play. Like, you could be the best fighter in the world, but if you're not on that night, and I know like a lot of people say it, but I feel like it's the new era of MMA fighters. It's the new era of MMA fans, not MMA fighters, but MMA fans, and these guys are idiots. And like they they all look like me plus 100 pounds, and they have the most advice for for you guys. What what is it like dealing with UFC fans?
I don't know. It's cool. I mean, I
Is
really
it
don't
different?
interact. Yeah, kind of. I mean, I feel like people ask me like when I meet people, I never tell them I'm a UFC fighter. If they don't know, then I see them better, Like, but if
Yeah,
people
yeah,
ask me what I do, it's like, oh, I'm a personal trainer. I coach people. I never tell anybody that I'm a fighter. Some people recognize me, some people don't. That's the way I like it. I hate telling people I fight because then all the questions come, everything. It's
mm,
like
yeah.
people that do know, I don't
What's
mind.
Conor McGregor like?
Yeah, stuff like that. Um, but I really like. I really don't like the people I do know. Like I interact with them well, even if they're like talking shit on my social media, because my stuff is all public. Like you can go on there. The
Yeah,
reason why I
yeah.
leave it there, like after I've lost, after I won, people go on there after I lost to Pantoja. People go on there just talking shit. Like I just leave my stuff open because I can care less. I when I was younger, I used to care a lot, but then I kind of
Hmm.
realized like who cares what people think, man? As long as
Yeah.
my small circle knows who I am and cares about me, then that's about it. Like people, like I get people. It's crazy because I get people sending me death threats, like shit like that. Like, oh, you lost me
Yeah.
money. You're a piece of shit. You should go kill yourself. Like stuff like that. I'm like, bro,
Yeah.
I just like I'll like their comments. I'm like, dude, cool. You know what I mean? Go. Like what am I supposed to
Yeah.
do? You're an idiot for betting. you
Right,
know.
right, right.
But
And
I like
then
yeah, you get crazy stuff like that. So it's a hit or miss on the fans. You get fans that are super awesome, like, oh man, sucks, keep your head up kind of thing, you'll be back. So I hit or miss on the fans. For me, I really don't pay too much attention to the negativity
yeah,
comes with it,
comes with age, right? Age and
It,
maturity.
yeah, age, maturity is kind of just like but once you realize like those people don't really matter, especially
Yeah, right.
hey, they're still gonna watch me fight no matter what, whether I win
Hmm.
or lose. They don't give a
Yeah.
shit.
And MMA is it's a what have you done for me lately type thing. People
Yeah.
are like, you lost me money. Like, bro, you put a 12 fight parlay together. What are you talking about?
You know what? So let's talk about this parlay thing. So, so uh, so somebody actually said I lost them a parlay, and they're actually right because they showed it to somebody, right? So they showed it to my fiance, the parlay,
Mhm.
and I was the last one. Everybody had won besides me, and that's when I fought Tarsiro.
Mm. Uh, that's
Yeah, so I was like,
my bad. Yeah, that's funny.
So
See, like,
they showed me that thing. I was like, damn, that's a. I was like, assholes. That's why I lost because
yeah,
I never bet on friends. I never bet
right,
on teammates, friends, nothing. Obviously, if you ask me who's gonna win, they can be fighting John Jones. I'm like, my boy's gonna win.
right.
You know what I mean? That's just the way I am. There's no ands if or buts about it. Like I just never bet. So if someone bets on me, I'm like, dude, like some of my friends, you bet on me. You made me so much money. It's like you're an idiot. Then we talking
Yeah,
shit. If I lose, I lose you
yeah,
money.
yeah.
So yeah,
Uh,
So this guy had put this before we had even met, like way before we had even met or anything. So yeah, it was just funny. It's like, dude,
yeah,
speaking about parlays, like, damn, dude,
man.
that's cold blooded.
Um, I think one of the worst I've seen. So my older brother, he put a parlay together and it went beautifully, right? And then it was the first UFC fight between Pereira and Israel Adesanya. So
Oh,
and he had Adesanya. So Adesanya, he's winning on scorecards. At least he's the UFC. You never know, but And then I'll never forget his face, just like broken. But
like people don't understand fights, like fight in general, boxing or MMA. Oh, you good? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. People don't understand boxing or MMA fights. Don't anything can happen. It's one punch.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
Especially with, and it always gets said, especially with little gloves, like it could
yeah,
change
little gloves
anything.
hurt, man. Little gloves hurt. A jab hurts
They
you.
don't do anything. They don't do anything to protect your
Especially if you get
face.
someone
Like,
that knows how to actually wrap your hands. Like, you get someone to wrap your hands.
mhm,
Like, so underneath that 4 ounce glove, like
right.
Yama knows how to wrap. Oyama knows how to wrap my hand, man. I remember telling people like, man, when I start sweating and stuff, starts feeling like a cast. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, I can only like when you start punching people, it feels like I can feel like literally I can. It's just crazy how the way it feels with the glove.
Yeah. Actually, I had my wrist wrapped wrong when I fought. I fought a boxing fight, so I was supposed to fight MMA, and the whole card fell off for whatever reason. So I was like, "Screw it! It's Christmas time. I'm box anyway." And I hit dude with an uppercut, or like more of like a shovel, and I just felt like water balloon just. And I know my wrists were wrong because wrapped wrong because I've never experienced that type of whatever, and both my wrists the next day were messed up. But back to earlier, you mentioned like you never bet on your friends. Is it 1,000 times more nerve-wracking watching your friend fight than it is when you fight?
100%. Like I started coaching a lot more, and I started training people a lot more.
I've seen a lot of people's corners.
So like it's hard, man. Like I mean, like Cody, Ode, now I got Vanessa, now I got like Carla. I have had Gianni, some of the main guys I've cornered. Like man, I love those guys to death. They put in a lot of work. It's easier when I'm in there because I'm get nervous, but it's like I can control it. Where
Mm,
it's like
exactly, it's so out of
only
your
can tell them,
control.
and you only got a minute in between rounds, right? Everything. So when Carla fought Claudia Gadella, because I've cornered with Coach Colin. If like 60 plus times, 60 plus times. And man, like that fight, like we're trying to take Claudia down. Like first round, and second round, like he goes in there, goes, hey, fuck that, we're just gonna box this bitch, like for him to do all that, we worked on one thing all camp to him and switch that mind, like just his thought process through everything, how crazy like that 1 minute
Mm,
is for him to make that adjustment that quick. And I thought we won the fight. We ended up losing a split decision, but I thought we won. It's like, man, how do you come up with a decision like that? And now being in his position a couple times, like with Cody and Ode and stuff like that, it's like, oh shit, like having to think like that is crazy. And it's nerve wracking because I'm telling this guy what I think he needs to do, but it might be the wrong stuff, It might be
right,
his
right.
opinion on what he needs to do. So
Mhm,
I think it's like a hit or miss, but I do get more nervous when some of my friends are fighting because I'll be grabbing the pillow. I'm like, if I'm at home, I'm grabbing the pillow. I'm lying.
mhm,
I'm,
mhm, mhm.
I get all bummed
And I don't
out.
care what level it's at. I don't care what level. If it's somebody I care about, man, I get this
Yeah.
feeling in my stomach that's so bad. Like,
If I'm cornering to even worse, I don't even eat the whole day because my stomach just rumbling all day. I'm like sweating. I'm nervous. It's just I'm sweating all
mhm.
over.
And you actually care about them like as a person. So it's like, it's more than just like, oh, whether win or lose. Like you want them to be happy. And it's like you said, like it's a lot doing when you're cornering and you're trying to give them the right advice, hoping that it's not like that Ray Longo, like, and obviously like I'm not clowning or whatever. And but when he the clip when I forgot who it was, but he goes, turn around, and he turns around and eats a knee against the
Yeah,
cage.
yeah,
Like that's probably like fuck, shitty feeling. But that's actually my mom in in the comment section. She's a big like she was the one watching like the Tito Ortiz Chuck Liddell fights with me. She was the one
Eh,
watching Ultimate Fighters, like all that. But does your mom go to your fights?
yeah. She does. Yeah, she's been there for most of them. She travels. She'll travel. You know what I mean. She'll go like to. I think she's only missed the last couple years. I mean, she's missed one or two, but she always goes. Always
How
goes.
how does she handle it? Like,
Pretty well. I mean, there's a couple times, obviously, like when I fought Benavides, I ended up getting knocked out. Obviously, like no one wants to, like people always tell me, like, oh, your mom wasn't too supportive at the beginning and stuff like that. I was like, well, no shit. How many people want to see their son get fucking punched in the face and
yeah,
get beat up for a living?
you win, you get hurt. You lose, you get hurt.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, like, I get it. This is the small percentage of people that make this into a career.
Right.
It's crazy, right? So, like, I mean, I can understand, like I said, I always tell people I'm like the black sheep of my family. Like my older brother, he's the golden standard. Like he's the guy that I looked up to, trying to chase for everything, right? Like he graduated high school, He was a state placer in high school for wrestling, 2 times state placer. Graduated, went to college, was a D2 national qualifier, graduated with his bachelor's, went back to became a police officer, went back, got his master's. Right, that's him. Me, went to junior college just to wrestle because I knew I was gonna fight. You know,
Mm.
made it to the UFC. Now I own a business. I own a house. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I have no debt. My little brother has
Right.
a graduated with the AA, went back to school to be a diesel mechanic, has a house, like they have careers. I'm the only one that technically I have a career, but it's not like a long lived career. It's a smaller career.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? So I can see why she wasn't isn't the biggest fan of fighting, but she supports me. She supports me now and stuff like that. So it's all good, whether she did or didn't, doesn't affect the outcome.
Yeah, especially like going back on what you said earlier too about make you weren't worried about making money. I feel like with MMA, if you're in it to make money, you're fucked.
Yeah.
But if you win, the money's gonna come.
Yeah.
You
Jason and Jeremy kind of set me down like, bro, we're not worried about the money. We're not worried about you. I'm like, I don't think I paid them a percent. I mean, pay them I made my first $1,000 probably when I was like 10 fights in. Now people like I see young guys coming up like, oh man, I'm only getting paid 1,000. Like, only shit. I wish I was getting paid
Mhm.
1,000.
Right,
Like, but
especially
no, that
those
was
days.
it.
Where did
I mean, I remember fighting for $300, and then the next week my car got towed, so that $300 went to you having to get my car taken out.
I,
You know what I mean?
yeah, I fought one of Gilbert Melendez's guys, and my car got broken into like a week. I mean, like a week or two into camp, my car got broken into, and all my because I worked graveyards doing security, so I would
Okay.
get off. I would get off work and then go train right after work. So I'd have my stuff with me. Yeah. So when you said that, it just popped in. I was like,
Yeah,
damn.
man, I
Like,
got my
yeah.
like made $300. I mean, I wasn't worried about the money. I traveled up and down California. I lost money.
Mm,
My team lost money because they came to corner me. They lost money on me, and then now like people always talk about like paying people, right? You always have to pay a percentage and stuff like that, man. I'm blessed to be able to pay the people what I pay them now, and they deserve to be
right.
paid probably more.
Right.
Uh, because it coming up, it wasn't easy for me,
Yeah.
for them. Like they put a lot of time and effort into me. They do things. So like now I'm blessed to be able to pay them what I pay them. But back then I wasn't paying them much. I mean, like I was paying my management like $30, 10%
Mm,
of $300. Like shit, dude. Like
right.
he
Right.
like, bro, keep the $30. Like I don't need that $30 that bad. Stuff like
Yeah.
that. So
So I've like with my son, I have had custody of him since he was like 2 months old. And that was kind of what got me out of the doing the street dumb shit. And
yeah,
because it's really easy to be like to self sabotage, especially around here, right? And but with him, that's what I appreciated from Phil. Phil gave us a place to train for free. And then so like when I would fight, like even if I only made 300-400 bucks, I'm like, I'm gonna get us some Jordans. You know what I mean? That was our deal. So
yeah.
like I feel like people like that, are very important, especially for like a younger fighter. Like to have someone to where like there's no pressure, like just keep doing what you're doing, like whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like pay us $30, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like that's so important, especially for like a young fighter coming up from where you're coming up. And you probably have so many doubts, and people probably planting seeds when you're younger because it's not, you weren't always this mature guy. You weren't always this
Yeah,
calm
like
dude.
growing up, I had like people when I told them like, like when I started fighting, like because fighting's always big in Lemoore, because Tachi Palace, yeah,
Yeah, that's why I made
WEC,
my
Tachi
that's where I
Palace.
made my pro debut.
Yeah, well before,
Mm,
like, so we had WEC, then you have PFC, then you have Tachi Palace, then you have like A1 now. You have all these like there's a lot of history here. And when I first started fighting, I tell people, yeah, I'm gonna make it to the UFC. People, some of my friends are like talk shit, make fun of me. I'm like, hey
yeah,
man,
yeah,
and then
most of them.
now I look back, they text me congrats. So like, oh man, or like I don't say nothing, but I'm like, that's cool. Do you? You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
I appreciate that doubt because it did drive me. Like
Hmm.
some like me being from a small town. I don't know if it's just the mindset sometimes. But every time I go talk to kids and stuff, I tell them like, if you get an offer to go a scholarship to go somewhere, get out of Lemoore. Lemoore is always gonna be here. You can always come back. Go explore. Best advice I can give somebody. Don't stay here.
Hmm.
You might get stuck. It's not bad. There's no, I love Lemoore. I love coming home. I love being here.
Yeah,
Like the town. I love everything about it. But I'm glad that I was able to travel. I've been able to travel the world,
Right.
you know, being able to explore the world. But like I always knew, like like if I ever want to move back, like more's here. Like I can move back.
Yeah, and it's like at the end of the day, like it's not that like you said, you love it there, but it's like the options are very slim. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, you're either gonna do this, or that.
Yeah.
Like, you know what
You
I'm
know,
saying?
like
So
I mean, you know how it is being around this area to the gangs,
yeah,
work a
hmm
regular job. You know what I mean? You're gonna be on.
especially when we were growing up too. Like, gangs were on they're outside. Like, where you from? You walk outside. It's kind of easy to be like, especially like in the neighborhood I lived in. Like, I just walk outside and all the gangs are there, and it's entertaining, right? Like I said, it was the best TV show ever.
Yeah.
um, yeah. But yeah, so when and we could, I know it's your son's birthday and stuff, so we don't have to be too much longer. It's all on you basically at the end of the day.
No, yeah,
Um,
got time.
but like you said, you would like to get back in May or early summer and stuff like that. What would be the ideal like timeline for you? May and then like
I would like to
winter?
fight. I would like to fight beginning of June, end of May, because I get cleared in March. To fully start training. I've been training right now, like taking like baby steps
What
back to.
was the injury, if you don't mind me asking? I don't know if you want to
So I
put
had
it all out
AC
there.
construction surgery and then
That's what I thought. Right.
meniscus repair. So
Was that your first time with ACLs or
yeah, my first time. I mean, my
yeah?
ACL was torn for years. They've been torn for like a long time. The reason why they did the surgery now is because it fully tore, like it was been like hanging on by a thread. But then
Had to be done.
my meniscus tore too. So that's why we went the surgery route. But I'm hoping to get around that time. I want to get 2 to 3 fights in, but we'll see. We'll see. All depends how the body holds up. Getting back into training. That's what I'm
Right.
starting now. Getting back in there a little by little, and then hopefully, I get some news soon. I know they're gonna start booking around that time. I would like to fight Amir. He's ranked number 3. I'm ranked 7, I think 6 or 7, something like that.
I
Seven,
believe it was 7. I seen 7, something
something
like
like
that.
that.
Yeah.
Um, Fight that we're supposed to fight. I had to pull out because I had orbital surgery. I had orbital surgery on this eye, so they got a metal plate in here. Like I was supposed to fight him, but then it was broken. I waited the 8 weeks, and then a week into that camp, I found out I had to go get a metal plate put in right here. So I got a metal plate in my orbital. So I was like, but I'd like to get that fight back against him, or I would like to fight Matt now, even though we're supposed to fight like 5 times, and the fight time. So like one of those guys would be awesome.
What would you say is because when you're young, I feel like you're eager to fight. For example, so I made my amateur debut. I won in like first round for Jeremy for 559, and I should have stayed with them more. I didn't. I was being directed differently. I would have did a different route, but anyway, it's neither here nor there. But I rushed back into it, and my drunk cousin picked me up. Was like, "Hey, pick me up!" and it fell, and I broke my rib. And I ended up fighting my second MMA fight with a broken rib. Like, even when they're announcing me, like, you can see it poking out. I won, but at what cost? You know what I mean? And then I made my pro debut like 4 months later. So retarded. What what is the what would be one of the worst injuries you fought with that where you could feel it in the fight, or you could, or at least like to where like I have to fight this for whatever reason, like fuck the injury, like I'm fighting.
I mean, I think I've trained pretty hard, so I'm always going in there banged up here and there. I mean, when I fought Pantoja, I broke the orbital within the first, like I think the first or second exchange we had. That fight only lasted like a minute 30 or something, 2 minutes. But like I collided heads with them. We broke this like right in there. Going into the fight, usually it's usually like my knee or my back. My back's usually when I fought Benavides, I almost had to pull out the fight because my back was so messed up from sitting inside the little sauna where I was hunched
Mm,
over, where like I couldn't even walk. Uh,
yeah, man, fighting hurts. like I like people. I just feel like it's one of those things. Like it's something you have to experience. And I don't mean like a fight in a cage, but at least training, at least like that soreness. So one thing with my son, like sometimes when he's hurting, or because my son he's 14 now, he's about to be 15, but he wrestles, he does the whole spiel, and some days that you see like he was hurting, and I'm just like just chill, relax today, like relax. 'Cause I remember one interview that stuck out with me was a Rory McDonald interview a while back, and he was talking about how he went so hard all the time that his body just broke. And like
Yeah, I mean, I feel that like the way I train, it's not like
that's what it was sounding like too. Like
uh,
you just go, 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 go,
yeah,
go until
I
the
go
ACL's
nonstop for
gone.
sure. I'm for sure overtrained, but in my head, that's like the wrestler mentality. Like someone's not
Yeah.
gonna if someone's gonna beat me, it's because they're better than me that day, not because they outwork me for sure. Because
Hmm.
I'm probably one of the hardest working guys in the sport. Like on top of everything else I do, but like
Your cardio shows.
yeah, like I'm always in shape. I'm always running. I mean, and camps probably for sure hit about 100, 150 miles running, like through my whole camp. Like I'm running all the time. I'm always training. The way I train, like obviously speaks for itself. My cardio is always there. So kind of yeah, kind of just preference, you
What?
know.
Where outside of camp? What do you walk around at?
So I walk around at what like 160.
Mm,
And then
okay.
55, 60, and then when I know I'm gonna fight, I get a little bit closer. I get down to like probably like 50-ish, and then from there I'll start kind of like dieting down.
Yeah, I feel like when I tell people about the 125 division, I was like, when you fight at the bigger divisions, like 55 and up, you'll get a lot of people who, like, you could have fights where people aren't really serious, like they kind of, and when I mean serious, they're tough, but weekend warriors, right? Nobody cuts to 125 to fuck around.
Yeah, no grown man should be 125 pounds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Hey, you
It's
only have 25
definitely a
pounds for about
struggle.
10 minutes. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely a struggle for sure. But I get there. I got a good nutritionist. They're on top of me. They take care of me very well. So
Were you
um,
always good with nutrition before UFC? Like,
hell no. I
yeah,
used to do the
it's a
wrestling
learning
like
game.
starve myself and run. You know.
Hmm.
Now with nutrition, I've learned like, hey, you got to eat more and stuff like that. You can't just starve
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah, yeah. That
You
was
know,
a mind blow. Like when I
yeah,
first was trying to
drinking
figure it
water
out
is
too.
not bad. You know, things like that. I was like, okay, starting to learn the stuff. You know, so it definitely helps out.
And the question I was wanting to ask too: what would be your response if your son came up to you and was like, "Dad, I want to be a fighter"?
I mean, I'm gonna let him do what he wants to do. I want him to. I for sure want him to wrestle. Uh, so
And to
I
me,
want.
that should to me like I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'll forget when you put your kids in wrestling, jujitsu, and stuff like that. It does so much more for them as a person and mentally than it does just I can fight.
Yeah, no, for sure. Wrestling definitely shaped who I am and my work ethic for sure. So I want him to wrestle for sure, but I'm not gonna force him to. I'm gonna put him in wrestling for about a year or two, like make him do it. And if he wants to try other stuff, then let him go. You know,
So
let him do what he wants to do. I want to be like I really don't want to coach him. If he wants to fight, eventually, like ah man,
right,
you know, I tell him my advice, or I don't recommend doing it. I mean, I got
right,
lucky, I got blessed that I was able to make it, but do I want him fighting? Probably not. It's probably not the
yeah.
best
Yeah,
thing.
so
But if he wanted to do it, I mean, hey, more power to him.
yeah, so with my son, so he grew up in the gym, and he was that kid like, "Dad, you want to fight?" But like I said, I raised him like his biological mother literally was never like in the picture, and not because of drugs or anything. I left. I was like, "I'm gonna take my son." She said, "Go ahead," and I've literally had him ever since. Like, it is what it is. But I was purposely putting him in baseball, putting him in other because I grew up playing other sports first. Like I was an all-star baseball player. I was, play quarterback the whole, whatever. But I was trying to at least show him other things because I don't want people to be like, oh, you tried to fight, so you're trying to make your son fight. So, but when he was like 9 or 10 years old, he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Can I do jujitsu? Can I fight? And then he ended up winning state championship, like all that stuff, like with jujitsu. And this kid's got it. Like everything, everybody always comments how like it's playing basketball to him at this point. Like he has no issues at school. He's very calm. But I'm like, he's like, I want to go. I want to start fighting at 18. Go amateur, all that. I'm like, man, go fail at something first. Like keep training, but go fail. Go try something like you really want to first. Like try to not get hit in your head at first. Because I
Yeah.
grew up boxing first. I grew up boxing. I wish I like I said, I was a little white boy already, and the last thing I wanted to do was be put in tights. And like that was literally my rationality why I wouldn't wrestle. Like I'm too cool for that. We box, blah 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 blah. And then like I get older and I start doing this, and I'm like, oh fuck, I wish I wrestled. Like so, I had him grow up backwards. Like he started grappling first.
Yeah.
and then now he's getting into striking. But yeah, he's really like all in with this, and I'm like the supportive part wants me to be like, I got you, I got you, I got you. But also I'm like, man, like go experience some shit, go try some shit.
Yeah. Now I want my son to be a doctor. He's gonna have to take care of me. Something.
Facts. That's why I tell my daughter, I'm like, you're gonna be because my daughter is very intelligent. So I'm like, you're gonna be the lawyer. Like, she wants to compete in jujitsu. I always say my daughters have to learn jujitsu to protect themselves, especially because everybody like, you know how it is. Like, oh, I put my daughter in boxing, blah 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 blah. At the end of the day, like, if a grown man wants her on the ground, like, she's going to the ground. Like, and
Yeah, I tell people that all the time. I tell people all the time. I told my sisters that for a long time. They were kind of getting into. I wanted them to get into it, but they're kind of like, oh, I'm like, all right. I
yeah,
told them I would pay for it, but
I
you know,
always, yeah. I tell my daughters, you don't have to fight, you don't have to compete, you have to learn.
yeah,
And then
it's
I got
good
one kid,
for
she's
sure
like a
for
little
like for
Khabib,
yeah, jiu-jitsu is good for definitely self defense.
right? Yeah, especially to me, and it's just like, and like I feel like the biggest thing it does, it helps create space. You know,
Yeah.
with that being said, I feel like if I was more of a grappling mindset, I probably would have got stabbed more times than I did. But I got stabbed after the altercation. Like I said, it was my first time ever in a 12-week camp. So like I had hit him, and when he stumbled, 'cause he was like a 6'1", like bigger like little North Island kid.
Yeah.
And he's like 1920, but when they stumbled, like I got my space, I was like, bro, I don't even care. Like, it's cool. Like, blah blah. Last thing, with my luck, I'm gonna break my hand on this guy's head and some weird shit. Like
Yeah.
I'm finally healthy. I did everything correctly because at first I was just like showing up, half-assing it. And then I'm finally doing everything correctly, and then yeah, and then he acted like he's getting in the car, and then walked up and stabbed me. So, but the issue is that my nerve. I got nerve damage. I got hit in my lung. Well, I'll send you the video after. It's entertaining at least. But like, cause like,
You're getting stabbed is entertaining.
no, it was the video's entertaining. Honestly, man, I grew up in like the neighborhood that they don't make money. It's just violent. So I seen a lot of like dumb shit. I'm a bit desensitized to it. But
Yeah.
I knew. So I seen someone get like sliced in their face when I was like 15. It was when Anderson Silva fought James Irvin.
Oh shit.
I went over there. I had no idea an altercation happened between. Uh, so what happened was my friend was with some older girl, and and whatever, and her brother came, yada yada. But he ended up having no life threatening injuries. But the guy who did get stabbed took off running and damn near killed himself.
Damn.
But now the aftermath of the because it was all security footage. The aftermath. That's how I rationalize it. It fucks with me mentally, like, especially if I like picture it. But I feel like if I laugh about it, I won't cry about it. You know what I mean?
That's good. The good thing that's a good way to look at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I figured, honestly, how it is. Like a lot of people, where we come from, they died or whatever. So I figured I'd take, I got lucky. I
Oh yeah,
really,
sure. People don't understand
I
that.
yeah, yeah. I have a psychiatrist and shit. So this is 2 years of working, almost 3 years of figuring through this shit. I got stabbed at work and I didn't do anything wrong, so I'm getting, all the benefits from it.
Yeah.
But I'll wrap this up. I'll let you get to your day. I really do appreciate this, and I feel like I got some good clips out of this too. And anytime, like as I'm elevating, because like I said, I'm just growing. I just barely started on Instagram, and the views are there. But I'm always here to like help promote. I'm always here to post your stuff, anything like that. I really do appreciate your time, and I really do appreciate the insight. Like I'm gonna show my son a lot of this, and a lot of those questions are so he can hear it too. Um,
Oh sure, man. Yeah, anytime, man. Always trying to help people. Especially come up. Like I've been there. I needed help, and always glad I can go out there and do it.
I definitely want to take my son out there with you guys sooner or later too. He's like he fits the description. You know what I mean? I had to have a half Mexican son so he could get that work ethic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
Um,
feel it.
but
Uh,
honestly, man, and I'm not just saying this. Obviously, I reached out to you like prior, just based. But your style, like you really are one of my favorite fighters, and it's just cool that you're from the same area. But I'm looking forward to see it again. And like I said, you're one of the fighters to where you don't know how you're going to win. You literally have won in every single way. Like so,
thanks, man. Man,
yeah,
appreciate.
and just much respect to you, and can't wait to see what's next.
Oh yeah, man. Well, thank you again for having me. Appreciate it. Yeah, we'll keep in touch, man. Tell your
Yeah,
boys what's up.
I will for sure.
And
He
bye,
was the one that
moms.
want. Yeah, yeah, she's a big fan. She loves this shit. Psycho.
All right, G. Take it easy.
Later, bro. Love you
Later.
too. Later. There's another episode down. Peace.